Welcome to our few moments together on the Parsha. This Shabbos, we have the privilege of taking out two Sifrei Torah. In the first one, of course, we're going to be reading Parshas Hashavua, which is Parshas KI Sisa-Parah. And in the second Sefer Torah, we're going to be reading the Maftir from Chukas in Bamidbar, which is, of course, known as Parshas Parah. According to the Shulchan Aruch, there are some poskim that say that listening to Parshas Parah is actually a requirement mid-oraisa. Mishnah Berurah doesn't necessarily feel that most poskim feel that way, but there are some that do feel that way. At any rate, it is quite important to listen to both the reading of the Torah and the reading of Parshas Chukas, and certainly to review it on your own. Chukas, the word Chukas means that it is a statute. It means that it is a mitzvah which has no given reason. Of course, one can fathom reasons by thinking through the entire ritual of bringing the Parah Aduma, and in fact, Rav Shamshon Raphael Hirsch has some very beautiful meanings to it, but that's not our discussion today. I'd like to point out that the reading of the Parsha and the reading of Parah Aduma and something we just learned in the Daf Yomi are all intertwined, and it shouldn't strike us as being unusual. The Torah is of a divine origin. It would therefore be totally acceptable to find tangents and different ideas all wrapped together at various parts of the Torah. As we mentioned, the laws of the Parah Aduma, which have to do with a human being's spirit, the neshama, departing, and when the neshama departs and death ensues, one becomes tamei. And when a person becomes tamei, they have to be sprinkled with the ashes of the Parah Aduma on the third day and on the seventh day of their tumah, and eventually they become pure. When it comes to the Parah Aduma and the Egel, Rashi, at the beginning of Parshas Chukas, quotes Rabbi Moshe Hadarshan, who says that the Parah Aduma is there, Tavo Parah, let the cow come, utechaper al ha'egel, and let it make an atonement for the child that the cow produced, which is the egel, the calf, the golden calf that was worshipped by the Jewish people. So we have a confluence between the Parah Aduma and the egel itself. And both of them are mentioned, of course, in the reading, one in the first Sefer Torah, one in the second. In addition, there's the matter of the neshama, of the spirit. And the teaching of the Parah Aduma is that even though the red physical life is over, but the spiritual life continues, and that every human being has a spark of Hashem in him or her, and that is forever. Just as God himself is eternal, so is the peace of God that's within us eternal. And we know, everyone knows, we sense, we feel, we're aware that we have something which is an intangible. All we have to do is really think about it, and we see that we have a soul, and the soul yearns for connection with holiness and purity. In this week's Sedra, when it talks about Shabbos, it says that when Hashem created the world, Uvayom HaShavi'i, on the seventh day, Shavas Vayinofash, he rested and he sold, S-O-U-L-E-D, his neshama. He sold out. Or, as the Gemara in Be'ah, which is quoted in the Daf Yomi just the other day, says, Kishesh Shavas, once Shabbos goes away, Vei of the Nefesh, woe to the special soul that is in us on Shabbos, the neshama yisera, the extra neshama that's within us. Woe to the extra neshama that leaves. And that's why there's a custom to smell the spices on Motzei Shabbos, because we are trying to capture and retain the idea and understanding that the Shabbos gives us a neshama yisera. This points out to us that not only does the Jew possess a soul, every human being possesses a soul, but the Jewish people, when they observe Shabbos, they are granted a special soul. We are granted a neshama yesera. What a concept to give the world. That not only does every human being have a neshama, but by observing the Shabbos and emulating God, who desisted and ceased from any further creative activity on Shabbos, when we do the same thing and we refrain from any creative activity, we inculcate within ourselves a piece of that divine neshama yesera, an extra soul. The Jewish people not only have the soul that all humans have, in addition, we have a neshama yesera. And this neshama yesera needs guarding and protection. And so we have Parshas KI Sisa speaks about the golden calf. Parshas Chukas is the Para Aduma and speaks about the eternity of the soul. And Parshas KI Sisa says Vayinofash that we have a neshama yesera, an extra special gift of not just the average soul, but the soul that comes to us with the addition of the beautiful, wonderful observance of Shabbos. Speak to anyone who observes the Shabbos, and you'll hear them say, I don't know how anyone lives without Shabbos. How could you live without it? The special soul that we have is so valuable to us. It's so important. It's such life-giving joy, simcha, that we couldn't live without it. And that perhaps is what sustains the Jewish people. As many a poet has stated, more than the Jews sustain the Shabbos, Shabbos sustains the Jewish people. Famous Jewish writer, Achad Ha'am. And therefore, Shavas vayi nafash, vay of the nefesh, woe to the extra spirit that leaves us after Shabbos. And we should retain it, and we should be zocher, we should be worthy to all utilize this neshama yesera to enhance and enamor our lives. Shabbat shalom u'mevarach. Have a wonderful Shabbos.